I'm not happy right now.
How come there's only, oh, because there's one,
No,
two,
it's not.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sharon is 8, Mike is not on, right?
That's the check-in, right? With all the guys, don't they do a 6 o'clock check? Yeah.
Yeah, I did get it.
Oh, you don't call it a check. What do you call it?
Radio.
Oh, it is radio.
Okay, good, Dave, thank you.
I used to like in the old days, you blew the horn,
What's happening
and
there?
then I would
Dave?
know
We
it
are
was time to,
All right,
it was time to come home.
okay, we are live, folks.
Oh, okay.
I want to do that. Let's do that.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Newington Town Council public hearing for the town manager's budget to order on today, March 8th at 7, I'm sorry, my watch is 6:02, sorry, I'm so used to 7, 6:02. We are now in session. If you would please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, so the purpose of this evening's meeting is to provide an opportunity for interested electors and/or taxpayers to express their views regarding the town manager's proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. This evening, the town manager will go through his budget, review it in detail for us, and then there will be an opportunity for the public to ask questions afterward or comment on the budget. If there are questions posed, we do follow Robert's rules, so we will not respond directly, but we will consider answering questions if we have those answers in our next meeting at 7 p.m. this evening when the budget discussion happens, or at a later date when we are able to supply those answers. We have Mr. Chapman with us online this evening, and Councilor Camillo is joining us online. The rest of the councilors are here. Oh, and Sharon Braverman, Councilor Braverman is online as well. We're using a hybrid format, so I will just tell you that we are getting used to this format, so bear with us if there are any glitches. We will do our very best to get through it and make sure that the information is accessible to everyone. Mr. Chapman, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. And I promise you I won't take too long on this, but it is important. It's really getting an understanding of where we are financially and where we're going to be going in the future. So I am going to read right from the screen if you have the screen in front of you. I'm pleased to propose the 2022-23 annual budget to the Town Council for the third consecutive year, which includes a proposed mill rate reduction. This unusual phenomenon of the values of automobiles, real estate, and personal property holding or increasing their market value, combined with the modest expansion of the grand list being the conduit in achieving this difficult task. The timing of the material shortages due to COVID-19, and I will add now due to the war going on in Ukraine, with consumer demand resulting in a short supply of products and materials such as oil, we'll say, which have resulted in values of products being increased substantially. That is consumer demand resulting in a short supply. Yes, so let me just get back on my own paper here. Short supply of products and materials have resulted in values of products being increased substantially. That is being noted as these inflated costs will negatively impact on the town's ability to purchase as well. The stabilization of the general government operating budget and the modest increase for the school department operating budget, while less than what we all desire, is necessary as the town cannot impose increases in the mill rate, increasing the cost for our taxpayers. The capital improvement budget has leveled off and is now stabilized due to the reality that our cost of operating the buildings, public safety radio systems, streets and sidewalks and motor vehicles equipment all must going forward be funded and maintained to avoid future dilemmas that were addressed last year in this. As you review the 22-23 annual budget, as well as the 22-26 capital improvement budget, you will find a very reasonable approach to funding the town's needs on a defined plan basis. The town cannot allow the wide swings in the funding and expenditure levels to occur in the future as was allowed in the past. We must proceed with the concepts of needs must take priority over wants, and I cannot stress that enough. And we must operate within our abilities to fund the operations rather than kicking the can down the road. While the last 12 months has afforded the federal and state governments to distribute excessive amounts of funding for programs that we gladly accepted by the local municipal governments, there will be a price to be paid in the future, and we must be preparing now. Cost reductions, increased efficiencies, and thinking outside the box will be required in the upcoming years that cannot be ignored today. The following issues are outlined as I feel each topic must become part of the planning for this and future operating and capital improvement plans. Staffing. As you will see, there is an increase in the full-time general government positions. We now have a much clearer understanding of our staffing needs with an additional 12 months of knowledge and experience, with adjustments being introduced that will add value to the operations. You will also find that the consultant services costs are reduced as an offset in certain areas. The information technology and facilities management functions are being enhanced and realigned as both operations have suffered greatly due to the lack of funding and other higher priorities. Additional full-time staffing in both areas will greatly benefit the town's operations. In addition, enhanced staffing in the town clerk's office and the creation of an administrative floater position serving numerous departments during the peak demand times will smooth out the workflow going forward. The COVID-19 pandemic is now going on over 2 years, and what appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel, with vaccines, masks, and social distancing all playing a larger part in conquering this challenge. I will just point out that I just read an article about what's going on in China, and they're dealing with a major breakout of COVID again. So we're not through this yet in a long shot. Economic development, the economic development team assembled 24 months ago has performed magically with new commercial developments in the Fen Road, Meyer Cohen Way vicinity, restaurants, retailers, a car wash, and a multi-level $11 million are underway at this time. To the east, a $59 million five-story luxury market rate residential community at a cost of in the final approval stages, and is planned to break ground this spring. Moving further east on Cedar Street is the affordable Dakota rental residential community at a cost of $32 million, preparing to break ground this spring. Further east on Cedar Street into Newington Center, the former Keeney manufacturing plant is now under new ownership, with our economic development team working closely with the new owners and identifying potential tenants, including Data Mail, and leasing 20,000 square feet of the high bay building in this prime real estate. In addition, the former food store on Lowry Place is of great interest to several retailers and is anticipated to be occupied this summer. An additional draw to the center of town will be created with the town working in collaboration with the Hartford Healthcare, constructing a dog-friendly park on John Stewart Drive. On East Cedar Street, at the top of the hill, a mixed-use development is going through the preliminary stages with our team in anticipation of seeking regulatory approvals from the town and state over the next several months, totaling $12 million in this portion of the development. 3333 Berlin Turnpike has all of its approvals in place with 2 developers building commercial and residential. breaking ground within a few weeks, developing a $100 million project on a 24-acre site. In addition, the team has been working closely with several additional residential projects in the south portion of the town that will, if successful, result in additional $80 million of investment. As stated last year, an area that will become a focal point for the team in the future is redevelopment of existing private properties. The objective appears to be timely and appropriate, as the available vacant land for new development will be diminishing as the private building inventory continues to age. I cannot stress enough, the town will exhaust available undeveloped land for development over the next several years. Once that occurs, the ability to grow the grand list will be essentially dependent on redevelopment, and the challenges will be very difficult. Planning for stagnant grand list growth in the future must be planned for now. We must learn to live within our means. Town buildings, the town of Newington has commenced a long overdue improvements to numerous buildings, with the library, ambulance, town hall, high school, senior center, Kellogg Eddy House, American Legion, all receiving a variety of improvements, many of which were identified in the Owens evaluation report compiled last year. Our newly hired facilities manager has scrutinized the Owens report, inspected all town buildings, conversed with the various building occupants, and a portion of its findings and recommendations are contained within the CIP plan. We are currently transitioning into solar as an alternative energy source for our buildings, with plans underway, scheduled roof repairs and replacement being followed by the installation of solar panels to maximize the benefits of this clean, dependable, and money-saving technology. Solar is currently being designed by our consultants for the town hall, senior center, parks garage, fire station 3 and 2, the 4 schools, John Patterson, Elizabeth Green, Ruth Chafee, and the high school. Public safety radio system, the proposed public safety radio system has been tested and evaluated by all 3 public safety first responder operations, with all now in agreement to the new technology and infrastructure to be purchased and implemented. This decision will modernize and provide the state-of-the-art communication system that will also include the upgrades for the school, senior, and disabled center, highway parks, and highway and parks department needs. During the last year, our IT director worked with the 3 departments, the state of Connecticut, and various vendors to bring forward a logical approach to address the safety needs for the town in a cost-effective manner, looking forward well into the future. Streets and sidewalks, the town's roadway and pedestrian way systems fell behind due to the reduced funding over the last dozen years. However, the plan placed into motion in 2021-22 has resulted in doubling of the road's mileage that is milled and paved or milled and resurfaced annually. The paving program is now on a 20-year plan, with all roads included to assure the pothole and pavement failures are minimized. Under the 20-year replacement cycle, all infrastructure within the town's right-of-way, road surface, curbing, signage, and sidewalks, etc., will all be updated to assure the town remain on a 20-year plan. I will tell you this, it's not in here, but over this next 6 months, we will be doing over 9 miles of streets, milling, and paving. Motor vehicle depreciation and replacement schedule. The town's schedule for motor vehicle replacement had over time fell out of sync with the original intent, which was created over 25 years ago. The plan now calls for all motorized motor vehicles and rolling stock to be identified with a date of acquisition, original purchase price, life expectancy, replacement cost, as well as date of replacement tracked for each unit. This reactivation of the plan will assure all vehicles and equipment are utilized to the maximum life cycle and removed from service in a planned replacement program to avoid the highs and lows previously experienced. With regards to the needs of the fire department, the cost of replacing several of their vehicles exceeding over $1 million each. The current town charter presents challenges with the need to go to referendum for purchases over $975,000 for a single unit. The referendum requirements place the ability to outfit the fire department fleet in jeopardy. If the referendum fails to be passed by the voters, it should be noted that several developments that are being discussed at this time will be buildings with 4 or 5 floors or more, with the fire apparatus needing to be elevated to those heights. Charter revision is on the agenda right now, and it's something they certainly should consider on the level of special appropriation. Okay, the key to the success of all three of the infrastructure entities discussed above is that the plans adopted must be followed as presented. Deviation from delaying or deferring is not in the processes of best practices and will lead the town in an adverse direction with similar challenges currently being faced. Alternative fuels, I mentioned earlier, solar energy has been available for numerous years with many commercial, private, and public residential structures depending on the heat, power, and provide electricity. Newington, unfortunately, has only a few of its municipal buildings outfitted with solar, which over time could have saved the town at minimum tens of thousands of dollars. Over the past year, our team has been in communication with solar vendors to determine which towns' buildings pose potentially monetary benefits, with Verigy being the vendor of choice to move forward installing solar on as many buildings as possible, as well as potential solar farms on public property. It should be noted that due to the deferred building maintenance, several buildings primed for solar had been delayed due to roofs not being repaired or replaced in a timely manner. The staff has now developed a schedule for roof replacements that were followed by solar installations as reflected in the 22-26 CIP. Another aspect of alternative fuel opportunity is the town's motor vehicle fleet with hybrid, electric, and compressed natural gas, all available, yet the town's fleet contains only 2 hybrid vehicles. 20 years ago, the town owned over 10 CNG automobiles with the plan to have the majority of passenger vehicles to be operated either on CNG or electric. This is going back years now. The town CNG fueling station, provided at no cost to the town, fell into disrepair, became dated, and no longer exists. The administration intends to reintroduce alternative fuel vehicles back into the fleet. The fact that we, as a world society, are rapidly destroying the ozone layer of the atmosphere due to continued emitting of fuel burning, actions must be taken in an effort to minimize the damage. The administration intends to have Newington do its part to clean up the environment we all depend on. Regionalization, due to the multitude challenges the region is facing, with increasing demands for services, limited ability to increase local revenue, and increased unfunded mandates, and the realization that our neighboring towns and Newington all essentially provide the same services, it appears timely that the towns of Weathersfield, Rocky Hill, Berlin, and Cromwell join with Newington in identifying services and resources that can be shared to maximize services while minimizing costs for our residents and commercial sector. The 5 town managers are currently now meeting on a monthly meeting schedule intended to explore the opportunities looking to the future. As this exciting activity progresses, expansion of this concept should be considered with all neighbors to the north of with Hartford, West Hartford, as well as New Britain and Farmington to the west. It must be recognized that the state of Connecticut, the federal government, will in all likelihood continue to pass unfunded mandates onto the local governments. And without collaboration with our neighboring municipalities, funding availability will continue to diminish while the demand for services continues to increase. Okay, then we get into appropriations, I believe. The total appropriations proposed for 22-23 totals $132,903,968. Reflecting an increase of $3,499 and $3,499,060 over 21-22 budget. The major drivers of this 3.5 million increase is attributed to debt service payment, capital improvements, and salary increases for both the town and Board of Education. So it's a 2.7% increase being proposed in the town manager's budget. The additional expenses come from the Metropolitan District Commission, which provides water and sewer to the town. The increase for them is about $127,825. Mira, which is our solid waste and recyclable disposal area, is in trouble right now. They probably they may go out of business. So we're looking for alternatives to haul our trash and recyclables to. And we are actually, I think that's on the agenda tonight for discussion by the council. So those are two areas that are going to be difficult, not only for this town, but all the towns going forward. Municipal aid is increasing by $3.8 million, which is good for the town. And revenue side, property tax. Property tax provides over 80% of the revenue to the town. The non-tax revenue is 17.7, and then the general fund balance of 2.5 million is 3.9. So if you take all of those revenues together, you come up with the $132 million proposed budget. I think I will stop at this point with my conversations. I just want to let you know that the general, let me just go on the general government side. Excuse me, James, you're probably not figuring out where I am, but at page 6, I believe. General government increases about 3.14% or $1.2 million. I'm proposing that the Board of Education on page 7 get a 1.69% increase of $1.3 million. And I think that pretty much sums it up. James, can you just go to page 1? The general fund budget summary, not that page 1, the one we always refer to page 1, the one with all the numbers on it, following the message.
For the first tab. It's the last page of the presentation.
Got the one?
Keep going, James.
Keep going.
I don't have the numbers, so.
It's the grid that looks like this, James.
Oh, perfect.
I think that's what he's referring to.
I don't think I have that one. That's in the regular budget. Just a second.
Yeah, but keep going, so just a little bit more, James.
Just give us a moment. He's trying to locate it on his laptop. It's in a separate doc.
Okay. Well, what you're looking at right now is the major taxpayers of the town. It's kind of interesting who pays the freight around here, and many of these businesses don't really use many of our services, yet they're the bulk of the generation of revenue, and coupled with the residential community with property. Yeah, this is the page, James. This is what we're really, look at it in one nutshell. You can see where the changes on the right-hand column, as I said earlier, general government operations are up 3.14%, Board of Ed 1.69, Metropolitan 2.69, debt service 1886, and capital improve, debt service on the educational side is 1.5, and capital improvements 1.29. Capital improvements for the education is 150.38. Employee leave liability has been decreasing over the years, so eventually that will disappear, which is great. And then we get into how we raise our money, which are all listed down below. So overall, what I propose for the council's consideration is a budget that addresses what I consider to be the highest priorities and also provides for a reduction in the mill rate, which is something that we've done for, this will be the third year if it's successful, but it really needs to get accomplished. So the mill rate is proposed for this year to be reduced 1.38%. We need to continue to do that. People can no longer continue to pay more and more tax. And the commercial side, developers are not looking to spend a lot of money on towns that have high mill rates. And I think part of our success this last year or 24 months has been the fact that we reduced the mill rate each year. So we have to keep those things in focus and clearly understand that we only can operate on the monies that we have, not borrowing, not ignoring, not kicking things down the road, but taking care of business in a logical approach and minimizing our costs, which requires thinking outside the box and doing things collaboratively. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I think I've done as much as I can for the public and the council to grasp a understanding within 30 minutes of what we've spent months on. Very, very proud to do so. So I will stop talking at this point and turn it over to the mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chapman. We appreciate the thoroughness of your presentation, and just for the public's understanding, we will be reviewing department by department the entire budget over the next several weeks. Right now, this is the town manager's budget, and so over the next few weeks, as he goes through those departments and explains to us in detail what he's proposed for each department, at that point, the council will adopt the budget as our own, and then we'll be able to make changes as we see necessary before adopting the mill rate. There is a budget schedule that was adopted. It is on the website. If anyone is interested in looking at when we are meeting regarding the budget, that information is available on the website. And those meetings are always posted ahead of time, so you'll have the information that will be discussed at each meeting in terms of which departments will be reviewed and what we'll be covering at each meeting. All right, so now I will open it up for,
Mayor,
go ahead.
Just say one other thing. I just want to compliment our entire finance team. Everybody's worked very hard from all the departments to put this budget together, but you know, it's done very professionally, and I just want to express my appreciation to the entire staff for all the work that they've done on this.
Absolutely, Mr. Chapman. I couldn't agree more. Our staff is just amazing at what they've accomplished under your leadership, and we appreciate both you and your staff and all of the work that goes into a budget. All right, I'm going to open it up for public participation. That is the purpose of the meeting primarily, is to hear from the public regarding the budget presentation. We do have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, and if you are in the Zoom application, you can raise your hand by clicking it in the participants window, or if you're on your phone, *9 will raise your hand so that we know you would like to be recognized. Anyone in the room that would like to speak is welcome to come up to the microphone at the front of the room, and we'll acknowledge you kind of in order as the requests come in to be acknowledged. All right, so let me go to our participants window. I don't see anyone in our room yet. So right now, the first speaker with their hand up is Walt Saplinski. If you could just state your name and address for the record. You're still on mute, Mr. Saplinski. If you are there, if you can unmute.
Okay.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time. This is Walt Saplinski, 35 Whiteside Street, Newington. And I like the idea of Mr. Chapman speaking about thinking out of the box. That's important. Unfortunately, it's in the box thinking that bothers me, and that's continual cuts to education. I think a 1.69% increase in education is out of the box. Newington residents have seen this for many years in the past, and it only means balloon costs coming up in education at some point. So I think if you follow the thinking of your town budget and you anticipate paying for it as you go along, it makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to stop there. I think you need to rethink and add money back to the education budget. I'm truly disappointed, and a 1 mil rate decrease, I would rather give that to education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saplinski. All right. Just looking to see if there are any other attendees with their hand up. We'll give it a minute. I know technology can be an issue, so I'll just give a moment for people to be able to use the raise hand function. If anyone in the room would like to come up and be acknowledged as part of the public hearing on the budget, you are welcome to join us. Welcome, Ms. Lyons.
The wheels aren't broken in yet.
Rose Lyons.
46 Elton Drive, and first of all, let me apologize to James for accusing him of being the mutee or mutor last night. I understand the mayor
I was
was
too
in
quick with the
charge.
button.
That's
Yep.
okay, I get it. It's all new and everything else. I came here tonight basically to see what was done in this room and to look at the budget presentation that I've been watching for probably 15 years now. I'm saddened to see that after 3 or 4 years of sitting at Town Hall Reno meetings and asking that this room be more accessible as far as television and so forth and so on for the public, it's not happened. I'm sitting there, sitting like this. I could turn like this, and I'm farsighted or nearsighted. I can't see far. Are there going to be any hard copies of the budget? The thing that I'm most interested in is the CIP. That's what I've been following for many years now. And I noticed in part of the presentation that there was the Kellogg-Getty and the American Legion mentioned as far as improvements to those structures. I'd asked in the past whether there's any kind of written documents as to what they're responsible for and what the town is responsible for. I know that economic development is not part of the budget, but since it was mentioned about all this is coming into town, these developments here and there, I sat in the back shaking my head when I heard multi-use development up on Cedar Mountain again. I have been going to TPZ meetings as long as I've been coming to town council meetings, and this is about the 4th project that's been proposed for that area. When I was working at the probate court, there was a gas station, there was gonna be doctor's offices or something, and then Amara. And then I think this is the 4th, and nothing has come to fruition. And seeing multi-use properties is fine. As a senior who's lived here for 73 years now, I'd love to get out of my single family house and go into some sort of senior housing, but Newington offers nothing other than this authority, the housing authority. There's some affordable housing in different places. Berlin has a wonderful setup, I think, Orchard Ridge and Stonebridge. I wish that we'd start to look to some developers and see what you could do about getting somebody in here to be interested in providing seniors with some sort of affordable housing. And I'm not talking high end like Amara was talking. I mean, I couldn't afford that, $3,000 to $4,000 a month. But and I'd like to hear from the town manager, the town planner at some future town council meeting, what's planned for Keeney Manufacturing. I know that they talk about things at economic development and things like that, but I'd like to see it also at the town council level, have somebody come in and give us some information. The apartments in town that are going up Granted, it's probably good for the town, but I mean, we're talking 1,000 apartments already. And now we're talking more if you're having multi-use up on the hill. But in any case, good luck with the budget. I will call James and see if I can get a copy of the CIP and go over that. Like I say, the CIP is one thing that I've been looking at for many years, and I would like you to ask questions as well when it comes before you. It's not in a subcommittee anymore. It's going directly to you. So I'd like to hear some questions from the Newington people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons.
Thank you.
All right, any other members of the public, either in the room or online? Right now, our attendees window has no hands raised, and I don't see anyone coming forward in-house, but I'll just wait a moment. All right, just so the public knows, we, at the conclusion of this meeting, we will take a recess until 7 p.m. At 7 p.m., we will begin our regular town council meeting. There is quite a weighty agenda, and at the end of the agenda, there are some departments that will be discussed regarding budget as well, in addition to our regular business at the beginning of the agenda. So if you are inclined to stay on and hear some of those department reviews, we would love to have you on. All right, folks, I don't see any hands up, so we will close the public hearing at 6:37 p.m. We stand in recess until 7 p.m. for our next meeting. Thank you, everyone.